I'm Jeff Ward, and the only agenda here is to make you think. What a headline. Liz Cheney suggests a new political party may be needed. End quote. Did you get that? May be needed. That's may. We might need a change in politics. Well, thank you, Liz Cheney. What a groundbreaking statement by her. How can any thinking person, like where we are right now politically, how can any reasonable thinking person like where we are politically right now, how can someone that's not in the incestuous, slimy industry of politics even think for 2 seconds that the current two-party system is good for us? No reasonable person thinks that, of course. So I would suggest, not only do we need another party, the entire industry, along with the gerrymandering part of the industry, needs to be completely blown up. We don't maybe need another party. The whole thing needs to be blown up. Complete and total disruption. Disruption is the term, not might need a political party. Disruption is what we need. Total disruption. But let's just face reality here if we can. We're getting exactly what we, the voters, we, the citizens, have allowed to happen. We've allowed it to happen. We can stare in the mirror all day long because this is on us. We don't have, see if you agree with this, we don't have political parties now. We have opposition groups whose only purpose is to convince voters to hate the other side enough so those people can keep their jobs. That's what we have. We have advocates of hate, and it's just happened to be called the two-party system. We have a Republican Party that is a mix, whatever percentage you want to put to it, I don't care, but it's a mix of Christian nationalism and old white xenophobia. And then the other side, that side has a mission of this, not them, or more specifically, not him. That's our two-party system. That's it. That's all it's about. That's where we are. There's no debate on anything of substance between the two. That's all they are. That's all they're about. In fact, I think you could just say it really is just an FU fest. That's it. That's all politics is. You say FU, you say FU, and that's good enough. Stay in your lane, right? So here comes Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, former congresswoman from Wyoming, of course. This former member of Congress, whose political career ended with the rise of redneck Trumpism. Of course, she's not wrong. Of course, reasonable people know that. Here's what she had to say. It's not exactly the hot take of all hot takes, but here she goes. Whether it's organizing a new party, look, it's hard for me to see how the Republican Party, given what it's done, can make the argument convincingly or credibly that people ought to vote for Republican candidates until it fully recognizes what it's done, she says. She went on to say this. There is certainly going to be a big shift, I think, in how our politics work. Do you believe that? Do you? I don't, but maybe you do. She goes on to say, I don't know exactly what that will look like. I don't think it will be simple as, well, the Republican Party is going to put up a new slate of candidates and it's off to the races. I think far too much has happened that's far too damaging. I think she ended up saying, yeah, we might need another party, but it's probably not going to happen. Okay. She's not wrong, of course, right? That was not exactly the way to go about this, but she's not wrong. So here you go. For one, I would argue this, that she accuses Trump of hijacking this, which I think is an easy way to go out. I think it's an easy hot take. I'm going to submit something else. I don't think Donald Trump hijacked the Republican Party. I think redneck voters hijacked Trump, and Trump is happy to play along. I don't think it's the other way around. I think he came along at a time, particularly with social media, that the act worked. And he is a prisoner of the audience, and he became exactly what members of her party, enough of them, wanted to have happen, and he's happy to play the role, the FU role, that's what they wanted. But it's not like, to be honest, it's not like Democrats have pushed anything other than, right? So if my theory is right, Republicans hijack Trump, turn him into whatever they want. Democrats, their only position is this. Not him. Not him. Whatever, not him. That's it. So both parties in this terrible system, unhealthy system, both parties have propped up the FU boat because the FU boat that is floating along is exactly what each side wants. We're not in a policy war. We're not. You don't argue with people about policy. It doesn't happen. Talk shows don't argue about policy. Candidates don't argue about policy. It's a culture war. And it ends up every single time just FU. It's the FU state of politics. Is it possible to get out? There you go. That's where she got stuck. She tried to offer up some righteous theory on how this should all look and work, but then she has no idea how to get out, how to change it, how to go from just an FU culture on two sides to something more meaningful. Because I don't know how we're going to get out of FU, not them, because that's the vote, right? That's what people do. I think the FU, not them, is so entrenched that there's probably not room to create a party or parties based on policy. There is no demand, no desire, no differences based on policy. Even if Donald Trump loses, which I think is what she's trying to get at as well, if he loses, then everything changes. I don't buy that. I don't buy it at all. If he were to lose, do you really believe things would change that dramatically? His opponent's only position is not him. Now, that may work for the Democrats, just not him. But if he were to lose, is it not the way forward? Is it not a lot easier for politicians just to say, hey, everybody, hate your neighbor, or not your neighbor, hate the person that lives in that city, hate them. That's a lot easier. Our politicians, I think, fall into two categories. Okay? The two categories are this. Doesn't matter the party. The two categories are the screaming FU category and the I'll hide and let the letter next to my name keep me employed in this industry category. That's the only two things that exist. That's the only two candidates that exist. She's not in the game. It's just those two candidates. The screaming FU, and then the other one that'll say, I'll just hide long enough, and as long as I have that right letter next to my name, I'll keep my job. Liz Cheney has every right to be disgusted. All reasonable thinking people are disgusted with politics and should continue to be disgusted with politics. But notice how many people, Liz Cheney's the perfect example, notice how many people that are in politics go where she goes. The only people calling out the two-party system, the only two people pointing out the obvious for reasonable human beings with their disgust are those advocating change that are out of the political game. When was the last time? Anybody. When was the last time that someone in office, currently in office, not quitting, not retiring, which happens rarely, but sometimes, when was the last time a person in office said, we need to disrupt the entire system? I'm advocating total chaos. I'm advocating total disruption. When was the last time someone in office actually said that? They're not going to do that, right? No one in office is going to do that. They're not going to advocate disruption because this is what they do. This is how they increase their net worth. Think how bad it is. Think how incestuous that industry is. It's an industry. We're sitting around thinking, oh, they're going to do the righteous thing. Liz Cheney is going to lead them over a hill. This is the same industry that flaunts insider trading, so much so that they'll laugh in your face about it. They don't care. They don't care because they know we don't care enough. So how to fix it? It's really simple ideas that have no chance of happening. The only way to disrupt, my opinion, but the only way to disrupt, the only way to do the things that she's advocating, the only way to create multiple parties, which I think is the healthiest prospect, the only way to fix it is a few things. And then none of them have a chance. None of them. Number one is term limits across the board, every office. You have 2 terms in the job and you're out. That's the rule across the board, period, no exceptions. term limits. There is zero chance they'll do that. We should push for it. If we really believed in disruption, that's the first thing we would do. Second, in primaries, end them. No such thing, not necessary, not needed. It's an incestuous, breathing your own exhaust fumes kind of thing. Just end them. Have the guts to end them. I don't care how many candidates are involved. I don't care how many different people on a ballot. Why do you care? Wouldn't the theory be that more people on a ballot is better? Why would we go through a process where the insiders pick in primaries? We should have multiple parties with multiple candidates. Call them whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Remember, the goal is disruption. The goal is chaos. This is the only way to get there. Number 3, end gerrymandering. End it. It'll all end if there are term limits. But gerrymandering has to end too. It's like asking any one of us, would we like to vote ourselves a raise? That's exactly what the process is. Those are the ways to fix it. And probably term limits would do it all. And there's absolutely, she can say, and any one of us, any reasonable thinking person that thinks this is disgusting and pathetic, of course is going to advocate for more parties, some disruption. You really think she's going to push this? You really think she has an idea? She could even float an idea. So, sorry that we should be so pessimistic, but isn't it plainly obvious we should be this pessimistic? What else would be the fix? What else? Find anybody in any office anywhere that advocates term limits, and unfortunately, that's a person that's going to be out of a job soon.